Here's a video for the Unit 5 review. Number 1 says triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. Which proportion can be used to find the length of DE in centimeters? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by color coding. So we're going to color code A and D, which are the same. So we're going to color code those out here as well. Then we're going to do B and E. So B and E down here. And then C and F. C and F. Now we need to draw our lines. We're going to go A to B, B to C, and C back to A. So we're going to do the same thing with the big triangle, D to E, E to F, and F back to D. So now we have color-coded our entire triangle. Now we can color-code our answers to see if anything matches up. So let's start with the red colors. We know the red colors are 4 and whatever DE is. So that's DE. So 4 and DE, we're going to color code anywhere down in our answers. Now, we are going to color code the next one, which is 3 and 9. So we got 3 and 9, 3 and 9, 3 and 9. And last one is 5 and 15. 5 and 15, we got 5 there. So we can start by eliminating one answer first. The first thing we can eliminate is going to be letter D, because there's 3 different colors there, and we cannot have that. So now let's look at the other problems, or the other answers. The first one, we have 4 and DE are matched up because they're both red. And we are going from the small triangle to the big triangle. So we go small to big. So far that's good. Now we're going small to big here as well. So small to big. So far that looks like a pretty good answer. Let's look at the next one just to make sure. So on this one we have the small, looks like is on top, and the big is on bottom here. On this side we have the big triangle on top and the small triangle on bottom, because the 4 is in the small right here, and the DE is in the big, the 5 is in the small, or the 15 is in the big. So since these are labeled now, we can go small goes to small, big goes to big. Since they cross out already, that tells us that is not our answer. See, it crossed out the answer for us once we connected the big and the small. Now let's look at this last answer choice. We have the small on top here, the 4. We have the big on bottom. The 9 is in the big triangle, and the 3 is in the small triangle. So just like the last one, we're going to connect the smalls to each other. We're going to connect the bigs to each other. Since they cross, it crossed out the answer for us, so our only one left is A. Number 2 says quadrilateral ABCD and quadrilateral EFGH are similar. First, we're going to color code A to E. So we got A and E. We got B and F. B and F. We got C and G. And D and H. So we're just going in order that it's given. Now we need to connect the dots. So we got A goes to B, B goes to C, C goes to D, and D back to A. Same thing with the next one. E goes to F, F goes to G, G goes to H, and H back to E. So now let's color code our answers. I'm going to start with 3 and 4. So anywhere there's a 3 and a 4. So looking just here, if we were to connect the red, we cross on these two answers. Since we cross, those answers are not the correct answer. They have to be either up and down like this one, or they have to be side to side. So since C and A cross, they are not our answers. Okay, let's move on and let's color code 2.4. Let me get my highlighter. 2.4 and 3.2. 2, 4, 3, 2. So again, sorry about that. These are straight up, so that's okay. These are right on top of each other, so far that's okay. These cross, so that finishes out that X for us and tells us that's the wrong answer. Let's move on to the next one. So we got 6 and 8. So we got 6 here and 6 here. So those don't even match up. So let's move on to the last one. 4.5 and 6. 4.5, 4.5. So since there's two different 6s here, this one could also be yellow, just like this one could also be yellow. It's a little tricky there. Alright, so let's see if we can eliminate some more answers. On A, it finishes out the X, so it tells us that's wrong. On D, it's straight up, so that could be a possible answer. Now we need to go from big to small. Here's our small. We know it's small because when we match up the green to green, the 6 is smaller than the 8. So this is our big. So now let's match up. The 3, red 3, is going to be in the small. And the red 4 is in the big. Now the 2.4 is in the small. And the 3.2 is in the big. When we connect the big to big and the small to small, it makes an X, tells us that is not our answer. So let's move on to the last one. We have 2.4s in the small, 3.2 is in the big, the 6 is in the big, and the 4.5 is in the small. So the smalls connect, the bigs connect, and if you see, that box is in our answer, which tells us D is our answer. So number 3 is a word problem. There's a lot of words here, so let's see if we can break down the important stuff. For an activity in class, students used pieces of string to measure roads on a map. They used a map scale to determine the distance between two cities. One group measured the distance between Fort Myers and Miami on a Florida State map. The string distance was about 7.75 inches, which represents in real life of 155 miles. Another group measured the distance between Tampa and Orlando on the same map and found the distance to be 4.25 inches. What is the real life distance? So it wants to know what is. So that's our X, the real life. So let's make our proportion. So we're looking for real life. We're looking for the miles. So that's going to be on top. That's our X. Means our inches is going to be on bottom. So we know that 155 miles matches up to 7.75 inches. So we're looking for what 4.25 inches represents in miles. So now that we have a proportion set up, we're going to cross multiply. So we got 155 times by 4.25. 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. We're done with this one. Put an X for place value. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. We're done with this one. Move on. Put 2 X's for place value. 4 times 5 is 20, put the 0, carry the 2. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 2 is 22. Put the 2, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. Now we need to add it up. There's 2 decimal places. So we get 678.75. Now that's not our answer choice because we're not done. Now we have to divide down by 7.75. 7.75 is on the outside. And 6.78, nope, sorry. 678.75 is on the inside. Now we can't have a decimal on the outside, so we have to move it over 1 and 2. So we have to move the inside 1 and 2. So we get 775 divided by there. So now we have a lot of dividing to do. This seems like it could be hard, but if we take our time, we should be able to do it. Alright, so 775 goes into 6 0 times, into 67 0 times, into 678 0 times. Now in 6,787, well, now we have a few options. We have 4, 8, 1, 2. We know it can't be 1 first, because it's a lot bigger than that. If it's not 1, it's probably not 2, but let's not rule it out. I'm going to go with 8 because I think it's really big. So we go 775 times by 8. Get 40. Get 56 plus 4, 60. Get 56 plus 6, 62. So we get 6,200, which I do think that is right. Now we can subtract, bring down our 5. Now, we know the first number in our answer is an 8. So we can rule out F and J and H. So G is our only answer. Alright, number 4. Mr. Ortiz used similar triangles to make a design. Which statement about the triangles in the design must be true? We have A, they're the same size and shape. That's possible, but being similar, they aren't always. So A is wrong. B says they are the same size but different shapes. Typically, same size and shapes, or if they're similar, they're going to be at least the same shape. With them being different shapes, B is wrong. C says they have corresponding angles that are congruent. So that means if we have a triangle, then we have a bigger triangle, that this angle and this angle are congruent. They're the same. Okay, that's a pretty good option because the angles don't change no matter how big or how small this shape gets. Then D says they have corresponding sides that are congruent. So that would be like this side being red and this side being red, but they're not the same size. So D would be wrong. C always has to be true because the angles never change. So C is going to be your best answer. Number 5 says Jasmine enlarged a drawing she made in art class. What is the value of X? So we can color code based on just what it looks like and based on where the smiley face shows. So this side's going to be red and this side's going to be red because that is to the right of the smiley face. Now the top is going to be blue, so the top is going to be blue here. Now we can make our proportion. Okay, so I always like the X to be on top, and that's going to be blue. So I'm going to put the other blue right below it. So that means I'm going to put the reds over here. So I have to do the same rectangle as X on top. So X is in the big. That means 60 has to go right next to it because the bigs have to be up top. Now the 2.5, the other blue, is going to be down low, and that's in the small. And the 3.75, which is in the small, is going to be underneath the 60. So now we need to cross multiply. 60 times 2.5. 0, 30. 0, 12. 2 decimals. Or 1 decimal, sorry. So we get 150. Now we need to divide down by 375. So having 3.75 divided by 150, we have to move the decimal 1, 2. So we have to move this decimal 1, 2. And add 2 zeros. So now we get 375 divided by 15,000. So now we have 375 divided by 15,000. So 375 goes into 1 0 times. Let's get the pen. 1 0 times, into 15 0 times, into 150 0 times, into 1,500. Now we have a few options. It can be 1, 4, 5, or 9. I think the 9 is too big. I think the 1 is too small. So we can eliminate the 1 and the 9. Now let's try the 4. Okay, so we're going to do 375 times by 4. So we get 20. We get 28 plus 2 is 30. We get 12, 13, 14, 15. So exactly 4. Good. Get 0. We'll bring down a 0. 375 goes into 0, 0 times, so 40 is our answer. Number 6 says figure JKLM is similar to figure PQRS. So let's color code. Get J, P. We get K and Q. We get L and R. We get M and S. So now we need to color code the sides. We're going to go J to K. We're going to go K to L, L to M, and M to J. Now let's do the other one. We got P to Q, Q to R, R to S, and S to P. Now let's color code our answer choices. Let's start with the red. So for the red, we have JK or KJ. We have PQ or QP. So let's go highlight. We got QP and we got JK. We got, let's see, none, we got JK, but nothing else red. We got PQ, nothing else red, and nothing red in the last one. So based on what we just found, these cross, so that already tells us since they're across from each other, F is not our answer. Let's move on to color coding the next color. That means we are at KL or LK. This is QR or RQ. So we got QR and we got QR and KL. We got QR. We got QR and KL. Alright, let's move on to the next one. We got LM or ML. We got RS or SR. So we got LM, RS, LM. All right, let's go on to the last one. We got MJ or JM. We got SP or PS. All right, so looks like we got MJ here, we got PS and JM. So based on just what we're given, these match up. There's no matches here, so that's not our answer. There's literally 0 matches. They don't match anything, so that's not our answer. Looks like these match up perfectly. Now, let's just double check. This looks like the smaller here. So we're going to call this small. We're going to call this big. Okay. So we got QR is going to be right here in the small. We got KL in the big. So PS is going to be in the small. JM in the big. So J is our answer. Number 7 says triangle RST is similar to triangle RVW. What is the value of D in millimeters? So first thing we're going to do is color code. We got R and R. We got S and V. So S and V. We got T and W. So now let's color code. We got R to S and to V. We have S to T and V to W. And T back to R as well as W to R. So we are looking for this measurement right here, D. Okay, so we know we're going to use the other blue. And the only other measurements we're given are the greens. So now we have to make sure we put them in the right spot. So we have our proportion. And we always like X to be up top. So we know that our X is highlighted blue because that's what represents D. And then blue is going to be right below it. And then we know green is on the other side. So we know the other blue is 18. 18 is in the big triangle, where X is in the small triangle. So we know the big triangle has to be down here. So that's going to be from R to T. Notice, R to W is 10, W to T is 5. So we have to add those together to get 15. It's a bad 5. 15. So that's going to be down low. And then up top, it's just going to be that 10 from R to W right here. That's the small triangle. So now we need to cross multiply. 18 times 10, which is 180. So then we do 180 divided by 15. 15 goes into 1 0 times, into 18 once. That's 15. 15 goes into 30 twice. So our answer is 12. Number 8 says the diagram shows a door that has a window in it. The front faces the door and the window are similar rectangles that have the dimensions shown. What is H, the height of the window in centimeters? So let's color code and match up our sides. So in a rectangle, this side right here that I color coded in red is the same as this side over here. They're the exact same measurement. Now on the inside, we're going to look at here, H, and here as red. Now, when we're looking at our problem, we don't really need this side right here. And we know that 210 is the same as this side. So now we can erase some red and get rid of some clutter. Now let's move on to the next thing. We have 60 and 84. Now we are trying to find the measure of h, which I'm going to call x. We're going to make a proportion. Now, h is in the window, and that's a small rectangle. That's going to go up top. And it's red. So we're going to put red over here. We're going to put blue over here. Now, based on the small, right, being here, we know the small has to be here, the big has to be here, and the big has to be here. So the big red is 210, the small blue is 60, the big blue is 84. Now we can cross multiply. 210 times 60. 0, 0, 0. Extra place value. Now we can continue on. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. We add it up. Now we have to divide down by 84. So 84 is on the outside. We have 1, 2, 6, 0, 0 on the inside. 84 goes into 1 0 times, into 12 0 times, and 126 once. That is 84. So we subtract. We get, 6 minus 4 is 2. We have to borrow, so this is 12. That's 0. 12 minus 8 is 4. Bring down to 0. Now, based on our answer choices, we can get rid of 66, and then we have some choices. It's either going to be 5 or 8. So I'm going to try 5, because I know 8 times 5 is 40, so 80 times 5 is 400. So that's going to be pretty close, so let's try that. 84 times 5. 42, and it's perfect, look at that. So subtracted, bring down the 0. 84 goes into 0, 0 times, so our answer is 150 centimeters. Number 9 says an architect built a scale model of a sports stadium using a scale in which 2 inches, so there's our first clue, 2 inches, it represents 30 feet. It says the height of a sports stadium is 180 feet. So what is the height of the scale model in inches? So we're looking, our inches is going to be our red here. So we want inches on top, and we want feet on the bottom. We want that because our x is up top, because we are looking for the inches. So the inches are up top, so this is going to be 2 inches up here, and it is closely related to 30 feet. It says the actual stadium is 180 feet, so now we have our proportion. We cross multiply. 180 times 2 is 360. Now we divide down by 30. Divide by 30. 30 goes into 3 0 times. Goes into 36 once. That's 30. 6. Bring down the 0. 30 goes into 60 twice. So our answer is 12. Number 10 says the two parallelograms are similar. What is the length in inches of PQ? So we can see that PQ is right here. And that's related to 16 inches right here. We know 30 inches is closely related to 12 based on just looks. So our x is going to be there, which is PQ. So now we need to make our proportion. We always want x to be on top, meaning x is red, so we're going to put red over here. We're going to put blue over here. Now, X is in our big parallelogram, and this is our small. So we got big up top and small down low. So let's plug in what we know. The small red is 16, the big blue is 30, the small blue is 12. Now we need to cross multiply. 16 times 30. 0, 0, place value. We get 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, so we get 480. Now we have to divide by 12, divide down. So 480 divided by 12. 12 goes into 4 0 times, goes into 48 4 times. That is 48. Bring down our 0. 12 goes into 0 0 times, so our answer is 40.